see you guys a day early. It's a bonus. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I think a good normal Wednesday practice. You guys obviously see us when you're coming. We go out on the in the stadium and the offense stays out there the whole time. I think when we went on the field today, it was going to be 45 and a little bit of overcast. I think the forecast for Saturday at 2:30 is about that same exact temperature, right? So kind of good foreshadow for us as far as weather goes. From an injury standpoint, we should be pretty good. I think a bonus with Aiden Lawfrey. I think Aiden's going to be able to join us as well. So he just recovered extremely well from that. I know he was excited out there running around today. And really from everybody else's standpoint, everybody's healthier than they were a week ago. Obviously, Caden Fagan had surgery yesterday. Is today Wednesday? Tuesday? Yeah, he had surgery yesterday, and doctors felt really good about that. So I know he's on his road to recovery. Kanena Odolaga as well. He has surgery coming up on Monday of next week. So he's just getting the swelling down, getting his feet up. So those two guys obviously won't be with us. So with that, open up for any questions.
Anything more stand out to you about Northwestern as you're preparing?
Yeah, defensively, he's really done a nice job. They run multiple coverages. They're playing with a lot of confidence. I think up front they play extremely hard, physical, like Northwestern always have, but he's definitely brought an element to the defensive side that's just different from a year ago. Offensively, a lot of carryover, but, again, utilizing different guys. They got some portal guys that have come in, obviously two receivers that have greatly impacted the game and their quarterback. So, yeah, you definitely see it in all phases. Offense, defense, special teams are a different team than a year ago.
I guess having Aiden back is probably an unexpected surprise. But what does that mean maybe for you?
Yeah, even like 2 Sundays ago, I meet with the docs every Sunday, right? And they talked about how quickly he's recovering and putting himself in a position to possibly be here this week. And ran yesterday, ran today. Every day when I saw him earlier today, I go, hey, you just worry about regression, right? Like some guys as they get back into it. But yeah, he'd be a great bonus for us going into the weekend. I thought Reggie's been an awesome. Nick Fidanzo, I know he hasn't gotten a lot of reps, but he's been awesome in practice. Guys love Nick, so not saying it's going to be the same as when we started the season, but I feel better about the running back depth going this game than we have probably in the last 3 or 4 games.
You touched on the ball idea the other day, but is the statement of saying, hey, we won a game, we need to again win to get to the next game. What would that mean for these guys? Not just the current guys, but the current, going forward.
Yeah, I get the question. I've told our guys all this week, going back to Sunday and then Tuesday, even today, this week is unusual in the fact that everything's going to try to take you away from Saturday, right?
Okay,
It's a week with no school, right? Like, I know we don't know that as older people in life, but like that's a big deal for kids that are in school, right? To have a week without school.
Right.
There's obviously certain aspects of this game and what it means, to get a chance to play another game. But I haven't heard the guys say or talk about that. It's about Northwestern. It's about the rivalry week. It's about the hat. When we first got here, they had beaten us 6 years in a row, right? And we needed to respect them. I thought that level wasn't there, and we definitely do. It's apparent in a way our guys have prepared for them and talked about them. And there's going to be a million different people trying to take them off task. You're going to have parents talking about Thanksgiving, kids that are going into the senior day. Like we have 25 guys that are getting honored, right? And I think those guys are having conversations that they've never had before with their parents, right? Last home game at Illinois. Some of the guys that are walking, I know are still considering what their options are to come back or not. So just an unusual time, and I just keep saying the thing you can focus on that's real is Northwestern, and they've been great.
That being said, what would those 15 extra bowl practices mean for you guys?
I remember when I was at Arkansas, and I believe when I was at Wisconsin, someone did a story about that, right? And they actually kind of statistically showed places that didn't get to a bowl game, right, and the improvement they made the next year. But I think just the 15 practices with some of our Devo guys, that's the key. And just staying involved would be awesome, but really the focus we've been on, I really can't say any more than I've really probably pushed my coaches as hard as I pushed them all year about getting ourselves in a prep. And obviously, too, because of Thursday, there's going to be that break in the Thanksgiving mode, and we're going to have a nice meal here with our guys. But we'll have, I believe we got 99 of 120 are staying here and having dinner with us. The 74 travel roster is mandatory to stay here because we're going to come in pretty early on Friday, but we're trying to make it as game week possible.
With the secondary, have you seen any common threads that have maybe led to some breaks back there over the last couple of weeks? I mean, is there anything you guys have identified?
For our secondary playing on game day, obviously the numbers we had last year were crazy insanity, right? And we haven't maybe gotten a number of picks, but I do see some of our guys, making big steps. I think Miles Scott, Mac Resetich, even that interception 2 weeks ago, that's classic what we've seen at practice, waiting for it to materialize in the game. Zach Toby has continued to get better and better. Taz, the last half of the season, has played a lot better than the earlier half. So there's guys that have made steps. Aaron and Antonio, I think, preach and teach and coach pretty hard. So it's not where we want to be, but I thought those guys have gotten better. I am excited about what the future brings that room.
What's the level of appreciation for what Keith's given you this last month?
Keith Randolph?
Just knowing it was his last year and knowing he's not healthy.
He's literally, in my opinion, when I talk with the scouts, him and then Casey Washington on offense have had the biggest transformation from where I saw him a year ago to where they are now. Keith changed his body, obviously, leaned up, worked extremely hard. I go back to the summer. I know Tank would always say, when I call in, we'd have an end-of-week wrap-up, and he'd always say, Keith Randolph continued to press forward, leadership-wise. I remember early in fall camp, there was a player giving one of these dozed-off eyes look, and I kind of said, hey, we have a little saying that we say in a room, all right, to get up. And I know I walked out, and in the chow line, I saw Keith talking to that individual, right, as a freshman. And I just like the intentional leadership that he has one-on-one is pretty unique. Him and Johnny, even though there's a lot of similarities, they're kind of different cats, right, on how they say and approach things. And obviously, Keith's value this year, and I think he's going to be rewarded with the NFL as well, right? Like he's been invited to 2 Senior Bowl games, and he was a guy at the beginning of the year I thought maybe I'd be able to have a chance to talk in to see him come back, but obviously we had a lot of those conversations during the bye week, right? None of this stuff really surprises us now.
I'll have a chance to talk to you about it again, probably with the portal windows opening up here real soon. Are you expecting to be pretty active?
There 442 guys entered. Last night it was at 360. I watched 40 guys last night, right? So I think one of the things that we're going to be able to talk about is the portal guys we've got. Like on defense, Clayton Bush and Nakario Harper had immediate impacts, right? Like Denzel Daxon has played himself into a possible draftable player. Started every game for us at nose. In a weird sense of way, the portal guys that we got, even though there weren't a lot of them, have really affected our program. I look at Isaiah and Zai, and I see those guys as transfer guys. Even though, like to me, this whole JUCO, portal, JUCO guys that are full high school qualifiers, they're kind of all lumped into, you got a transitional player that's only with you a couple of years. And, like literally this morning I met with 2 NFL agents and or NFL scouts, and I said, hey, if I had Clayton Bush and Nakario Harper for another year, like what I think we could do for them and their level of play would be unbelievable. But sometimes you just get these guys for these one-year windows, and you got to maximize it the best they can.
Will you guys keep your normal routine tomorrow? Is everything the same for a normal
Yeah.
Thursday?
So these last 2 days, we've actually pushed it back, right? I try to eat up their day as best I can, right? So we're up here with the chickens, in the morning, right? Like at 6, we were in at 6:30. No reference with chickens, but like 6:30, and then we have our first team meeting at 7. We just pushed everything 2 hours back. But tomorrow we'll go back to an early one just because I want to be able to get the kids that are going on the road. So we'll get done with practice about 11. We'll have a team meeting, a travel meeting, which is usually at 5. We'll have that at 12:30. We'll have a blessing and have the Thanksgiving meal, and then those guys will have Thursday night to travel. But the 74 guys that are on the roster, they probably won't travel much because we got to get in here early Friday morning.
Just in your experience, is there a tangible way you can kind of account for getting to a bowl game in recruiting and not like when you go out on the road to sell?
That's a great question next week. You know what I mean? Like I understand the question, but like, yeah, if you're going to a bowl game, it's a different window, but like it's just.
Back to Keith and Johnny.
We'll do one more.
You didn't recruit them. You kind of gave them the law firm name. What have they meant to you and the program currently and in the future?
Well, I think everybody thinks that players always just learn from coaches. I have learned so much through those two, both unique, different individuals, loving up their families, getting around them. Hopefully it's not the last Newton that plays here as well. But like they have brought so much. I'm a defensive lineman by nature, right? So I say this all the time. Like both of them have some intangible physical qualities that are really superb, or what's going to get them drafted high. But the way they see the game and the way they learn it and the way JMO has taught them, like you hear Keith and Johnny both say it. Both those guys, I think a year ago probably could have gone to a lot more NIL opportunity, right? And they stayed with us because I think they knew where we had got them and where we can take them. And I think they're both going to be duly rewarded because of it, but also Illinois has been rewarded because of it. Those are two high-level people in football uniforms.
Their decision to make this their last game, not a surprise, but was it a foregone conclusion, or was it still a process during the season for them there?
I have these conversations way back during the bye week before the season. I don't think all the decisions have been made. I know Johnny said, Johnny just speaks the truth, right? Johnny's just going to be Johnny. Keith, I think we're having a lot of conversations, next week after we find out where we are Saturday.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.